Hello, it's Guido coming at you with the cat. We're going to keep it. Tactics talk. And I actually opened up the screen to what's behind the curtain there. All right, what are we doing? We're trying to have a tactics talk, folks. We're going to talk more about assessing the battle, reacting to the battle, playing the match and not the map. So we are here on Saturnine Coast and we've spawned into the north. I am headed over here to the west side. I look at this setup real quickly as I'm moving and I say there is no arty. That's good for me in my Su-130 PM. Tier 8, lightly armored Russian Skorpiansky. All right, kind of like the Scorpion. Not quite as good, but not bad either. Pretty good tank. So we're going to cruise in here. It makes a lot of cash because it's a premium and it hits hard. So we'll come over here. And what do I want to know as I'm moving forward? Well, I want to know, one, do I have enough people coming with me to make it worth my time to get over here so I don't get completely overrun because I'm not able to brawl. I need people to be up in front of me, giving me shots. I need to watch the peninsula down here where the FCM is and the rest of these guys because if that collapses, I've got to get back to cap. And that's mostly what we're going to talk about is watching the two critical pieces of this map and then deciding what to do with that information. Right now, I feel like we're going to have some people head up here, although the Kanarchen actually stops. That's not great. So I'm going to continue to move in for a bit. Not surprised to see the wheel tank be there first, so that's not as big a concern as seeing 3 or 4 of the mediums or heavies all kind of boiling over that. So we'll just come up here and see what we can do. A little shot on him, but we're going to miss. All right, they've got some guys, but the STA-1 goes and the Kanarchen is going, and that makes me feel like, all right, let me support these guys. I can see the peninsula is engaged, but not being overrun. We have a good amount of tanks here. There was some action in the middle, but it looks like nothing going on right now. The JP died. So let's go ahead and fight right here. These guys are going to keep peeking over, and that'll give me shots. Very unwise on their part, and holy cow, he snapped me with that shot. Good on him. But I traded 571 for 217, so I'll take that. I can see the wheel tank moving around. The LT-432 is trying to take him on. That does bear watching because I don't want him to get up behind me. But the LT-432 is working on probably, of all the tanks to take on a wheel tank like that, the 432 is a pretty good one. Not a really great shot. We're going to miss that. And again, I'm watching what's going on the peninsula. You can tell that that's becoming a bit of an issue down there. They have a pretty good push. And as I'm looking at that, I'm going, that is not going to win. All right, more than likely, I'm going to have to do something different. But for the moment, let's go ahead and support this little push here and try to track down guys that are falling back. You see the Leos are running for it. Don't really get a shot off of him, so he's kind of behind stuff. And then I see the 40T. I'm like, all right, that's what I was waiting for. The other guy to start running. And he's wisely trying to get out, but I'm able to thump him for 519. And he's about to get dead. So he and the Leo are dead, and this flank looks taken care of. And I'm keeping an eye on the peninsula. All right, so the two critical pieces of terrain on this, the peninsula and the side I'm on, looks like maybe a shot, but not quite. Am I going to get it? No, I don't really want to get spotted because it'll be highlighted. But look at that glob of red coming onto the peninsula and more than likely pushing into our cap. Even though that's not what they should do, that's what most players end up doing. So that's what I'm going to have to assume is going to happen. It's also the worst case. It's also the way you win this game by stopping guys who try to push onto caps. I won my flank. I'm going back to the cap because it's threatened. It's pretty mechanical. It's pretty mechanical. This one seems fairly cut and dry in regards to that. All right, there are nuances as we've talked about, possibilities where I might just move to the middle and support, but that entire flank has absolutely collapsed. Some of theirs will go back to our cap. Some of theirs will push. Somebody's got to be back here to stop them from getting uncapped. Now, what we're going to talk about here is a pretty even game still. In fact, we're losing just a little bit at this point. But look at their pushers are pretty mauled, right? Our guys did some damage to them. And it's getting worse and worse, 4 and 7 now. Some of our threat to their cap will peel off a few of them potentially. And then somebody's got to go back and deal with this. So I'm going to use bush mechanics, do my best to stay unspotted while I do it. A little bit tricky right here. So we're going to wait for just a second, see what's coming in. And the other thing we're going to talk about is from the red player's aspect on how you do this. If you do push to cap, how do you make this happen when there are defenders there? Okay. What they do is not how to make it happen, but we'll go ahead and watch as this guy comes in and try to thump him. And we miss. We miss, not a well-aimed shot. I think I could have waited for him to continue in. I would have had a much better shot. So now I've got to come forward to get... Yeah, he's behind that tree. So he's actually double bushed me. There we go. So he moved a little bit forward. It actually happens to be the Lurva that I see first. So we'll back out on him. I didn't get spotted. That's fantastic. So just go up enough, keep this bush nice and opaque. Aim right in. He's just sitting right there, and we'll thump him again. Bap. There we go. Very nice. KV5. Didn't see me. A little bit tricky here because he's kind of moving out to where the bush, so I can see him. So I'm just going to take this shot, realizing I'm going to get lit. Just knock him down. And holy cow, we got a bunch more guys. All right, so the KV5 was trying to do his best, but he's got quite a few guys back here. What he was trying to do is get forward and be a spot and stop these guys and maybe light these dudes so we can't sit back here and pummel the guys. So it's a screening kind of idea where they need to move forward. And unfortunately for the enemy team, what these guys do is they all pile on and try to hang out at the back edge together. And pretty much a recipe for disaster. I get, I think, blind shot by the P-43. He was up in the little nook right there. And that's one of the problems with this particular spot. If you get spotted, if somebody's sitting right here in that little V, he was bushed up in reference to me anyway. So I know that guy's there. I've got to watch out for him. I can only take a couple hits. And holy cow, there's a lot of guys on the cap. So I'm thinking about going after him, but I think the AT-15A is probably the harder target. And unfortunately, a little bit rushed shot. If he squares up to me, I'm going to have a lot harder time pinning him. And it looks like they took down our STA. So now it's just myself and the Progetto. And one of these guys needs to push forward and be the screen. All right? Maybe even come off the cap and start trying to light us up. Now, they got trouble because we've got 2 on their cap as well. But they're not going to be able to do this while we're bushed up. This just isn't going to happen. So I look for a shot on KV3. I'm not really sure who's got the hit points. This dude's killable, so I'm going to try to take him out. That works. Looks like he might have even tried to become armor for one of those guys. So I'll just back out, worried a little bit about that P-43. This changes a little bit with artillery. But at this point, it's just a decapping game, and I need one more good shot in here just to make sure this happens because they've cleaned up most of the guys that pushed in. I don't know where the 43 TR went. He may be trying to travel back, and we end up winning this thing. So I've got 3,700 damage, 3 kills. Went to a flank, assessed both critical terrain, watched the other side fall, saw it coming early enough that the plan was already in my head. When I saw that it was a problem, I went back to cap. And what probably could have been a fairly easy, had I continued to push their way, a fairly easy 3-tank quick cap on us turns into a win for us by just kind of hammering these guys from the bush. Most caps, not all, have pretty good defensive positions in bushes that you can do these things. And if the enemy doesn't do a good job of the screen and try to light the guys who are doing this, then they're just fish in a barrel. You just keep thumping them. We end up winning on all flanks, and that's a good thing. But it did take a few resets here to make sure that they didn't sneak one out on us right there. So there's a couple things to learn on that. It's both from the red side and the green side. All right, I hope that helped, man. I'm going to keep beating this drum because I think it is one of the most important basic concepts of this game that is really misunderstood. It is not necessarily intuitively known by a player or a gamer who just starts playing the game, because you see the cap is a win condition. You think, well, I go to the cap, and as long as in my world I can still continue on to the cap, it's good. The problem is you got to think about the larger chess game on what everyone else is doing, and your push to the cap is more often a bad idea than it's a good idea in this game. Usually, most of the time, you need to go to another flank to help or go back to your cap, because the conditions for a cap is what's missed by most people. The conditions. And the condition is not whether you can make it to the cap. The condition is whether you can cap out. And that depends largely or almost completely on where everyone else is. So if you've got a lot of defenders at cap and you're relatively weak elsewhere, you drive onto their cap, you're probably going to get farmed and killed. The conditions have to be set. If the conditions aren't set, stop pushing to their cap and start working on the conditions, which is either defeating their push onto your cap or defeating the rest of their tanks, or enough of their tanks that a cap can be done. There you go. That's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see ya.